Hello everyone. I hope all are doing well and good. I am Viranj Dave and I welcome you all to Jigyasa channel. We all are aware about the armed conflict which is going on in world currently, and today I will be discussing about the cultural property and how it is protected during an armed conflict, and is there any international treaty or law which protects cultural property from such an armed conflict. This is something I will be discussing in further detail in slides to come. This is about me. You can read about me in detail by pausing the slide. This is about Jigyasa. Well, Jigyasa means curiosity. It is a joint initiative which is created by a group of experts who are qualified in several competitive examinations. Its main aim is to give academic support and assistance to all learners and curious minds. Before delving deeper into the legal element of cultural property, it is necessary to understand what cultural property is all about. Currently there is no universal standard definition for cultural property. It includes cultural heritage such as historic buildings, artworks, archaeological sites, cultural landscapes, manuscripts of libraries, archives, and also museums, which are in fact repositories of different cultural heritage. Now the question may comes to everyone's mind that why cultural property is necessary to be protected. Cultural property or cultural heritage is the result of centuries of interaction between a group of people and their natural surroundings. It is manifested and expressed in the form of customs, practices, objects, artistic endeavors, values, etc. It is passed down from generation to generation, and thus it becomes an identity for that group of people. And when there is an armed conflict or a war, this identity gets demolished. Thus, cultural heritage helps in rebuilding these communities and re-establishing these identities. Ultimately, cultural heritage links people's past with their present and future. There are several international treaties for different issues, and the first international treaty for the protection of cultural property in the event of armed conflict was signed in 1954 at Hague in Netherlands. It consists of two protocols, the first that of 1954 and the second that of 1999, which included several new provisions. As of right now, currently there are 133 states who have signed and ratified this convention. Under this convention, the term cultural property includes uh, first, movable or immovable property such as monuments, architecture, art, history, that is religious or secular, archaeological sites, buildings, then artworks, manuscripts, books, scientific collections, etc. Second, those buildings whose purpose is to preserve all those cultural heritage mentioned in point 1, such as museums, libraries, archives, etc. Third, the centers which contains monuments. This includes large amount of cultural property. This is the symbol or logo of Blue Shield International. It is used to mark the cultural property which needs to be protected by such armed conflicts. Blue Shield is an international organization which was founded in 1996, and its main aim is to preserve cultural heritage of the world from threats such as armed conflicts, natural disasters, etc. In many instances, Blue Shield has assisted UNESCO in preserving cultural heritage in different parts of the world. During such conflicts, such armed conflicts, sometimes UNESCO personnels are unable to go there due to security reasons, and in such cases, the members of Blue Shield have worked brilliantly to protect the cultural heritage on the behalf of UNESCO. Now, there are several outlines of this convention. The first and foremost outline is that the state parties who are part of this convention are required to adopt some of the protective measures, like they prepare the inventories, and these inventories include the sites which needs to be protected when such armed conflicts happens. The preparation for the removal of movable cultural property, that is the cultural property which is movable, needs to be relocated to a safer location when such armed conflicts happen. So how it will be moved and where it will be moved is something which is decided by the state parties. Also, the competent authorities for its safeguarding needs to be designated, and these all things are done during peace times. The state parties are also needed to respect the cultural property not only belonging to their own territory but also belonging to the territory of other parties. The convention also entrusts the task of establishment of specific military units who are aided with the responsibility for the protection of cultural property. And in case if there is a breach of convention, the state parties are needed to implement criminal sanctions. The International Criminal Court has prosecuted many of such criminals who uh, who destroyed cultural heritage. The state parties also undertake promotional activities like uh, promotion of this convention to general public for bringing awareness, training of the cultural heritage professionals, military, and also the agencies who are involved in enforcing all these laws. The Hague Convention of 1954 is not the first and foremost of this kind, so therefore it is necessary to understand a bit of historical evolution of this convention. Two conventions preceded the 1954 Hague Convention, that is the Hague Convention of 1899 and 1907. These two acted as a foundation stone as well. The two articles, Article 27 and 56 of 1899 and 1907, enforced upon the attacking party to spare historical monuments, educational institutions, etc. during war. The 1899 and 1907 Hague Convention were not that successful because of its participatory clause. Only the participant were entrusted with the task of enforcing all these articles, and therefore during the First World War, many of the cultural heritage were destroyed. It was Nicholas Roerich who initiated the movement for the defense of cultural objects, and in 1930 he, with his colleague, prepared a draft, and this draft was approved by the Committee of Museum Affairs at League of Nations and also the Committee of Pan American Union. This pact or draft was ultimately signed and ratified by the countries of Pan American Union in 1935. The countries of Pan American Union included the countries of North, South, and Central America. This is the image of Nicholas Roerich. He was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize award several times, and his Roerich Pact acted as a foundation stone for the Hague Convention of 1954. He also designed a banner, that is the banner of peace, in which he identified three red symbols: the first of for art, the second for science, and third for religion, surrounded by rounded circle, which represent the totality of art, science, and culture. This banner is also known as Banner of Peace and is analogous to Red Cross culture. I would like to add one extra information about Nicholas Roerich. He and his wife were the ardent followers of Ramakrishna Paramans and Swami Vivekananda and their Vedanta philosophy. He and his wife also initiated a philosophy known as Agni Yoga philosophy. Uh, uh, the son of Nicholas Roerich later married the grandniece of Rabindranath Tagore. Now we saw several conventions. All these convention have some limitations. The Roerich Pact was also not successful because the countries of Europe and Asia did not signed or ratified this convention, and these countries were involved in the World War II. Therefore, it failed completely. However, this convention, this pact, in fact, as already I mentioned, act as a foundation stone for Hague Convention. Uh, the 1954 Hague Convention had been signed by 133 members, but few countries did not ratify it. Uh, and until recently, these countries ratified just recently, like for example, USA, who signed this convention in 1954, but it took more than 50 plus years for USA to ratify this convention in their parliament, most probably because of the Cold War geopolitics. and in 2009 they ratified. Despite all those norms, the cultural property is still being destroyed. For example, in Syria, the Palmyra site was destroyed in 2014 by the ISIL. Heritage has also been destroyed in Afghanistan by the Taliban. The currently going situation between Russia and Ukraine has also led to the destruction of several property as suggested by media outlets. And it is believed that UNESCO has also um, requested Russia of not to destroy the cultural heritage sites of Ukraine. Both Ukraine and Russia are signatories of Hague Convention. Well, can technology help in preserving cultural heritage? The answer is yes. Artificial intelligence have that potential. I would like you to see this video.
When we go to the Arctic, we dress up to survive a winter storm. Rifles to protect ourselves against polar bears. It's the same thing with the Arctic World Archive.
Deep in the permafrost of Svalbard lies the Arctic World Archive. Like its neighbor, the Global Seed Vault, the Arctic World Archive aims to protect the most essential pieces of human culture from the chaos of the external world. That means art, literature, and code.
In the next 1,000 years, there will be no major invention where software doesn't play a role. We think it's important to preserve knowledge of open source development for future generations.
From phone operating systems to digital payment platforms, open source software has had a huge influence in our everyday lives. Here's how GitHub and the Arctic World Archive have partnered to preserve that code for the future.
So, Arctic World Archive is a digital preservation facility located in the Svalbard archipelago on the island of Spitsbergen in Norway, and several historical and cultural interest data are stored there digitally. And it is expected that this digital film has a life expectancy of at least 500 years, and it can be easily decoded. It was, as I said, established in 2017 and as an impressive collection of valuable digital artifacts from 15 contributing nations, like Vatican Library manuscripts, political histories, masterpieces, etc. This is the Rosetta Stone, and this is one of the example how it becomes difficult um, to interpret something which is completely lost, like the Harappan script. If it would have been stored in the Arctic Digital World Archive, then we would have been able to interpret it very easily. This is the cave painting from India which is stored there. That is the Ajanta cave painting, which is digitally stored there, and Durga Saptashati manuscripts are also stored there digitally. Now, this is the quote from uh, Hague Convention that any damage to cultural property, irrespective of the people it belongs to, is a damage to cultural heritage of humanity, because every people contributes to world culture. Definitely, uh, the heritage of the world is the heritage for everyone.